So if you're waiting to throw money at Timothy for new shiny iPhones that will basically be the same as last year's phones, I have lots of bad news regarding higher prices and also delays, so let's delve into all of this. Beginning with the delays, it all began with this Bank of America analyst called Wamsi Mohan. Now that's a name I've never heard of, to be honest, and so initially I thought this was some sketchy source who was just saying random things to get attention. But fun fact, this was actually the same source who predicted the delays we saw with the iPhone 12 series. They said we would see the 12 series release a month later than expected, which yes, ended up being partly true because technically the 12 Pro Max and the 12 Mini released in November, but yes, the 12 and 12 Pro anyways, they released in October and they were the first to mention this, so well done, you did predict that, you're a somewhat credible source. And by the way, would like to remind you guys, like this video and subscribe for more content like this, it would be appreciated. Anyways, they've been talking to super secret supply chain sources, and they now believe we could see delays by a few weeks for the iPhone 15 series. Now you may be wondering why exactly is this happening, because with the iPhone 12 delay that made sense because there was something called COVID and the whole world was an absolute mess, but what's the issue right now? Well, of course, as per the norm for leakers, they don't give us all the details straight away because giving vague information does increase their chances of being right, but thankfully we have more information from the information. Yes, that's the name of the source. They should probably have a new name that's less confusing, but anyways, they tell us the reason we could see delays is because there's a severe shortage of panels for the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max because of manufacturing issues LG Display are facing. Now it's kind of funny that there's allegedly been issues with these panels because guess what guys, literally the only thing different are the bezels. The actual displays themselves are identical to the 14 Pros, and so it kind of would be hilarious if we're getting a delayed release for the most pointless upgrade in the world, because while there are techies who are going to get very excited and think that thinner bezels are a game-changing feature, most people don't care about this, including myself. So yes, I'm really hoping we don't see delays because of this, and in fact, based on what we've seen in the renders, I bet that once you put a case on the 15 Pro, this basically from the front is gonna look identical to the 14 Pro. Now this would not be an Apple leak without a source completely contradicting everything we've heard about, and that's exactly what Ross Young now says, because according to his sources, panel production right now is completely fine, it's higher than it was for the 14 Pro last year, and while LG Display was having issues with the bezels, that has been resolved, so that's great news guys. I'm hoping Ross Young ends up being right because he's the display guru, and of course, as I said, it would be kinda stupid if the 15 Pros got pushed back because of such a useless upgrade that adds no functionality whatsoever to the actual device. Also, if you think about it, these delays are kinda the norm because they're shipping delays every year for the Pro models. Every Apple sheep on the planet rushes to pre-order these phones on day one, and so within a few minutes, we see dates slipping, and only till Jan do we see supply catch up with the demand. And so of course guys, this year's no different, there's gonna be demand for the Pro models, and if you can't be asked to pre-order because not everyone wants to wake up super early to buy a super expensive iPhone, just get the regular models because those rarely have supply issues. Now supply issues aren't the only thing you should be stressing about because Bloomberg has told us on top of these potential delays, Apple's heavily considering price increases for the iPhone 15 series. Of course, upon hearing this, some might just dismiss this because we've been hearing about price increases since the iPhone XS days. Heck, everyone thought the 14 Pros would 100% get price increases, and yet Apple surprised us by keeping the pricing exactly the same in the US, even though both the 13 Pro and the 14 Pro are more expensive to build. But to be fair, those previous reports were from sketchy sources, whereas Bloomberg is a reputable source, but also increasing prices this year does actually kinda make sense. Because breaking news, titanium is not cheap at all. There's a reason the titanium option for the Apple Watch is the most expensive trim, and so the inclusion of this with the 15 Pro is undoubtedly going to be a big reason prices are going to increase. Also, if you think about it, a big problem the regular models had last year was the fact they were too close in price to the Pro models. Now ideally, Apple should be lowering the prices of the regular models, but you know Apple's not going to do that ever, so yes, instead of doing that, they're increasing the prices of the Pro models and getting more cash, and that of course also creates some differentiation in the range, so that there is a bigger price jump between the 15 Plus and the 15 Pro in the range. And on top of all of this, there's going to be a periscope lens chucked into the Pro Max, so that's also going to increase the price. And yeah, basically guys, expect disappointment. I'm 99.999999999999995% sure prices are going to increase. Now hopefully with this high price, Apple's going to double the storage. They usually do this when they do increase prices. For example, the iPhone 8 and the 10 came with 64 gigs of storage with the high pricing, so we could see 256 gigs of storage as the base tier on the Pros, and that would help soften the blow and would be a very easy thing for Apple to do, because these higher storage tiers actually only cost Apple a few cents more than the base models. But of course, Apple being Apple, they're going to charge ridiculous amounts of cash to actually upgrade the storage in our devices. Anyways, we don't have exact details on how much more expensive these phones are going to be, but of course, if I were to guess, I'm assuming $100 to $150 more for these is what would make sense. What's worrying for me though is, of course, if the US is getting price increases, how bad is pricing gonna be for those outside the US? Since remember, while the 14 Pros were $1,000 in the US, it was £1,100 in the UK and even more expensive in other parts of Europe. And so with the 15 Pros getting a price increase in the US, UK pricing could be £1,400 or £1,500 for the Pro Max. That is absolutely ludicrous. I definitely cannot justify that. And in a way, I should be thankful Tim is making prices so bad in the UK that I don't go out and buy another iPhone I don't need. But either way, guys, it does suck that we get screwed over with pricing all the time if we don't live in the US. Anyways, Bloomberg says that unlike me, most consumers are going to gladly justify getting the 15 Pro even with the high prices, because iPhones just have that brand power, and I believe it, to be honest, because people will throw money at Apple regardless of the price. The latest example of this was the Apple Watch Ultra, because this is a watch made for extreme use, but I've seen regular Joes wear this, and the most extreme thing they're doing is going to Tesco. So yes, Apple will do whatever they can to get us to buy these new devices. Heck, I've also seen people ready to buy the $3,500 Apple headset, even though the tech's going to be radically cheaper within a few years. And so yes, I'm sure the 15 Pros are going to be selling in massive numbers. Bloomberg says demand's going to be on par with the 14 Pros, and Apple's asking suppliers to produce 85 million units, which is impressive because the smartphone market is actually on a decline right now, but I think Apple's the only company that's seeing some growth, and that's because their consumers are so loyal and they're gonna buy those new iPhones no matter what. So well done, Tim, with your big brain strats. It's clearly working, and watch how in the future we normalize $2,000 iPhones that I'm probably gonna wait in line for like the clown I am. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and thank you for watching.